Kim?
Ms. Barron?
Here.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yeah, I'm here.
Mr. Panza?
Here.
Mr. Ray?
Here.
Mr. Romanovich?
Present.
Mr. Torosi?
Present.
Mr. Tentori?
Present.
Mayor Shank?
Present. Okay, we move on to approval of the minutes for May 1st, 2023.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Just to let you know, this is in the summertime, June, July, and August, we have had history of having casual dress, so that's why we're all casually dressed, just to let you know.
Except for that.
Except for the mayor, but that's okay. It's optional. Okay, we would like to have a hearing of the citizens. Anyone who would like to address council, please step forward.
Christine Short, 251 Parkage. With summer recreation coming upon us within the next couple weeks, Mayor Shank, our previous chief, was always there in the morning with the drop-offs. He was also there when the kids were picked up. And when they got walked to the library, he blocked off like Poplar Street. So I know we're down a chief, I know we have an acting chief, I know we're down a few officers. Are we going to be able to have that presence there?
I would anticipate that we will be able, unless there's an emergency call. If there's
Right.
Because we only have X number of officers on a shift at a time, so if they have to go elsewhere, but they will make that a priority during the day.
Okay, because I know that went really big last year, and, you know, the kids liked seeing that, and especially there was no issues with adults.
Right. And who would be, like, for example, going to the library, who would be the contact person?
It would be Jen Matthews, she's the recreation coordinator.
Okay, she would know
Yes.
what days they're going to the library. Thank you.
With that said, we used to have, the farmer's market has been being ramped up a lot. We're getting a lot of people, a lot of traffic over there now. And we used to have a police officer back in the day, like from 5 to 6 or 6:15, letting the cars out of Green Tree Park. Can we have that going forward? If not, can we make sure there's a police officer there on July 6th when we have Cousin Maine Lobster over there?
Okay, and what time, I mean, if possible, what time would be the best time for them to direct traffic?
Around 5 to 6, Luann? Like 5 to 6, I think would be best, or even like 4:30 to 5. I think 5 to 6. I really do. I'm
Okay.
thinking of people getting off of work, and I'm just watching the traffic flow in. And, you know, some of the residents have asked, you know, during the farmer's market time that I've been over there, they've asked.
And I know they've done it in the past, so I'll check on that also. And what is July 6th? You said?
We have Cousin Maine Lobster. It's one of the food trucks. Every week we have a food truck that comes. Cousin Maine Lobster's pretty big. No matter where you go, there's a line.
It's a follow.
And I know we're going to have a
Okay.
big following.
Okay.
Also, I know this is always an issue. Everybody loves their dogs. I love mine, but I clean up after my pet. Being over at the farmer's market, I'm seeing more and more dogs over in Green Tree Park. A lot of residents do not clean up after their dog. I don't know how we police this. I know Mr. Panza, we had issues with Oktoberfest, you know, with the dogs. I just don't know how we go about telling residents no dogs in the park. Some of these dogs are aggressive. They're up there with, I guess, softball, baseball, and it's okay if the dog's under control, but when they're aggressive, it's not. You got little kids eating hot dogs, who knows? Dog might just snatch it right out of their hand. So I don't know how you control that. I mean, I know we have signs, but
Yeah, well, we could try to, work with Kim and try to get something on the website just to remind people that, you know, there's a special location for the dogs in the park and they're not permitted elsewhere. And just really trying to get the word out that way
Okay.
as best we can.
What's tough for the farmer's market is it's right in front of the dog park. Like, people, they use the excuse, you know, they're bringing their dogs to the dog park, and they walk them right through the farmer's market to get.
Well, we've been telling them that they're not allowed to go through the farmer's market
Yeah.
due to health reason, or health department reasons. A lot of them do obey the rules. It's just I've noticed them out in the field. When I'm driving up, I see them up in the park, but I don't know how you police that or whatever. I have two more things. The one thing is, I don't know if anybody has noticed, I know Mr. Tarosi, you walk around Park Edge and Sheldon. Our roads conditions are horrible on our residential streets. There is, and I'm surprised this resident on Park Edge has not complained, they have a crater in front of their driveway that's probably about this deep.
Do you know the address,
No, I don't.
approximate?
Let's see, if you start down Park Edge, it's about the fourth house on the left.
Go heading down Park Edge.
Yes.
Heading from Sheldon down Park Edge as opposed to the end where you live.
I'll
Not
send-
near my, it's
Not yours, on the other
closer,
end.
yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, we can't blame it on the winter conditions, but I just been walking around and I just been noticing there's just, and then coming out of,
Road.
roads, I don't know what is going on, but there's like a dip, and it just keeps sinking and sinking
Yeah.
and sinking, so,
Fortunately, on the agenda tonight is the road program, which includes roads.
okay.
Yeah,
Now
there's
this-
two big divots
Right,
at the end of roads there at the intersection of Poplar Street. It looks like it's from heavy trucks or something
On roads.
on roads right there at the intersection of Poplar.
Yeah.
I think it's a leak. It's
A
just
leak.
not showing yet.
Yeah, it could, yeah. Well, you know what, when we do the road program, we do a lot of that storm drain infrastructure work in advance. Every single catch basin, storm line gets inspected so that we can address it without, you know, we don't want to pave the road and then find it later.
Right.
So I'll make sure that we look at that too. That was roads at.
It's right at the four-way stop sign,
right,
Poplar, yeah.
okay.
roads and Poplar.
Yeah, on the Wilson Park side of roads.
It's always like that.
Okay. Well,
And it's from truck stop.
This last comment, and I'm just speaking as a resident, I did not like what was said. I listened to the meeting last month regarding the emergency management. I know we get passionate up on our seats. We gotta think before we speak, but I know a lot of times we get passionate. We were talking, that you folks were talking about one particular person, and you can't agree upon if this person can become an emergency management person, team, whatever. And there was a comment made that before we hire, quote unquote, before we hire an employee, their taxes must be paid. I was appalled by that statement. I think an apology needs to be made because I don't really think it's anybody's business if their taxes are paid or not. We don't need to say it in a public forum. They can go out online and see whose taxes are paid. I know last year a comment was made about the pool as well regarding we don't let certain people in the pool. Again, you guys are professionals, you're supposed to be. I just really think you get caught up in the emotions, and we just really need to watch what we say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name's Dave Pastorkovich. I live at 1001 Norris Drive. And this evening, I want to broach the subject of speeding on Glencoe. My wife and I walk our dog each night down Glencoe and up around the community. And in the last probably 6 months, I've seen too many cars speeding up and down. And my big concern is not only folks like us who walk their dogs, but there are a lot of young families that have moved in down at the bottom of Glencoe and throughout Glencoe. And it's nice to see young people moving into the community. And those children like to get out in the street and ride their bikes. And I have concerns about people flying up and down. My big concern is they have free reign basically from Dale all the way down to Whiskey Hollow with no stop, and from Whiskey Hollow all the way up to Dale with no stop. So what I would like to see investigated is possibly putting in a three-way stop at the intersection of Sheila and Glencoe. At least that would put them on the brake at one point until they hit Dale. Now, I know our police force is limited at the time, and they do a great job in the community. I have no complaints about them. But if we could get somebody out when there is a possibility of them sitting in that area, even once from Norris all the way up to the top of the hill here, their first stop sign coming up, I mean, they fly up there too in the summertime. So if we could take a look at that, I would greatly appreciate it. I know those families there would appreciate it because they won't come to the meeting. And I told them I'd come on their behalf, plus mine, and speak for them. Also, when you hit Sheila and Glencoe going down the hill, it's really like black dark when you go down that direction. I think we need another street light in there too, especially those folks who walk at night by themselves or with their dogs, because the coyotes are down there. And you know, if you're in a vicinity, and especially this time of year where their pups are out, I mean, if they see another person, if they see another dog get agitated, they will come after you. And I just think to be on the safe side for those families too, for a safety aspect, to having another street light in place there, I think that's a necessity. Another concern I have, we have a great community here, and that's one of the reasons why I moved in here many years ago. But right now I'm concerned with the vacancies we have in businesses in our community, particularly at the entry point of our community where we have our Welcome to Green Tree sign. Now we have another vacant building, and across the street we have the old 7-Eleven that's vacant. And we also have the Burger King that's vacant now. What are we doing to pursue businesses or attract businesses into those buildings in those areas?
Well, you know, that's sort of, we've had some talk about this recently, that we feel council should play a bigger role in promoting our own Green Tree to attract businesses in that. There are some people that think that's not council's business. However, the majority does feel that it is our business to attract. Now, fortunately, the 7-Eleven in the Boston market, we will soon be having brand new restaurants, and it's just a matter of time. But the Burger King, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because when the new restaurant comes into Boston Market, they've always had outdoor seating, so we're hoping they include some outdoor seating.
Well, that's
which
one recommendation I
really-
was going to ask for, because there's so many nice communities, especially when you go out west. They have outdoor seating in their restaurants where families walk up with their dogs or children, they hang out. I think that's something we desperately need. The one area I was hoping we would get is when they put in the medical facility back there behind the Olive Garden. I was hoping that we might be able to track some restaurants and places back there. I thought that would be an ideal place for something like that. But if you do need help in like promoting, please call me, because I want to see this place continue to have young families move in, upkeep it, have quality places, because we've got a great community.
Well, you know, you may be getting a phone call because
That's
we were
fine
talking
by
about
me.
having like a special subcommittee to focus on business development.
Well, I'd be interested in helping you with that.
Okay?
And then my third concern, regarding the events at East Palestine, we have a lot of hazardous materials that pass through our community. And with the rail yard over on the other side of the parkway and the trestle over top, you see those tankers just sitting there on top of the trestles for hours and for days in the rail yards. I just wanted to see what's our, like, where are we in our emergency plan if we would have a situation like that arise?
I will tell you that I've reached out to the rail company, and that's Wheeling and Lake Erie
Yes.
Railroad. And I did not officially hear back from anybody, but I additionally then had a conversation with the county emergency management. And he kind of ran down through a system that is in place, and a lot of that would kind of, a little bit to some extent, supersede us, because the rail, we have no jurisdiction over the rail yard, and they have their own full set of rules, which, you know, may or may not be the greatest, as evidence of what happened in
Right.
East Palestine. But I am told that there is some pretty rigid protocols that are in place. And I'll have to look back through my notes from my last conversation, but I even think there's actually a website that you can go to where they track everything.
Well, can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
Can we have,
Absolutely.
can we possibly have reaching out to the county to maybe even have them come into the community one night and go through a thorough explanation and bit by bit detail of what would happen if something like that would happen, to get people prepared instead of waiting till, you know, like I always say, I don't like any Pearl Harbors. You know, you've got people that say, okay, we will be in charge, but when it actually happens, what happens? So I always feel it's better to be prepared than to have a Pearl Harbor on your hands.
Yeah, and I would agree, and this evening on our agenda is the appointment of an emergency management coordinator. So I see that our, you know, we're kind of on a good track now to really get all that going. And typically, part of any good plan is to do drills where you kind of act through some scenarios and kind of, you know, have everybody kind of do what they would normally do in those situations.
Doesn't the fire company work with the rail yard? Don't you guys do trainings down there? And I believe the trestle is in Scott Township.
Yes.
We talked about that a couple of years ago. And Scott Township would have, in terms of doing an inspection on the bridge, they would have to initiate that. Because we tried to initiate it,
I
but,
did again, and I got
But-
crickets.
yeah, so I think it has to be Scott
They have to,
Township.
they have to
They have
initiate.
to initiate the inspection.
Yeah.
Okay, because that bridge is god-awful.
Yeah.
As we all know.
Right.
Yeah. They
And
all,
that's-
they all look that way. I know there's one over off of Vanadium, it's the same thing. It looks like it's on the verge.
You know,
of
just the
collapse.
proximity of our community, I mean, that's not a good thing. I don't care whose jurisdiction it is,
Yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for letting me speak this evening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd imagine the state or the feds can do whatever they want.
Yeah, there's a requirement for the inspection of all those by the.
Anyone else?
But you meant Scott versus us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all very much, and we'll move into our new business agenda. First off will be Finance and General Policy, Mr. Tarosi.
Thank you. First, I would like to move that we ratify the actions of the Borough Manager paying the May 2023 invoices from the general fund totaling $172,579.99. Sanitary sewer maintenance fund totaling $283,505.63. The payroll account totaling $204,317.60. The Educational Service Agency totaling $5,057.40. And credit card for April 2023, $3,210.37.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, motion passes.
Next, I would move that we approve the payment of the June 2023 invoices from the general fund totaling $168,973.52. The storm sewer totaling $2,282.35. The sanitary sewer maintenance fund totaling $72,785.33. Capital projects totaling $10,305.42. Finally, the bond fund totaling $6,122.30.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Move on to infrastructure, Mr. Romanovich.
Thank you, Mr. President. This first item here essentially is an extension for our contract for the delivery of road salt here. This was to originally have it all delivered by June 30th, and since we had such a mild winter, this is an extension until December 31st, 2023. So with that, I would like to move to authorize the borough manager to sign the agreement with Cargill Incorporated for the purchase of rock salt for the 2023-2024 winter season at a cost of $88.96 per ton, as submitted through the Shaycog Purchasing Alliance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, I would move to approve payment number one, the first and final, for Sweet Construction Corporation for the ADA ramp replacement in the amount of $23,900 in accordance with the Borough Engineers correspondence dated May 19th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'll just mention that about $20,000 of this payment will be funded by the way of a grant, ADA grant. So the borough will only be paying just a little over $3,500 for those upgrades.
What's the, it says payment number one, first and final.
Yeah, it's the only payment we made. It was a small project.
So how many ramps was it? So it's completed already?
It's done.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely finished. Yeah, and then we put in another grant. This was for CDBG year 48, and then we have a grant pending for CDBG year 49 to do additional ramps.
So is this one different than the one that came across last week where someone brought to your attention that something was out of spec?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That is for the
Blanket
ADA pedestrian crosswalk buttons. So you know when you go to a crosswalk and you have to
okay.
push a button, they are not ADA accessible. So if you're in any kind of a motorized wheelchair or whatnot, you can't get to it.
Okay.
So we need to fix that.
Got it.
But yeah, this is different. This
Got
is
it.
to make the programs accessible.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I would move that we award a contract to Maley & Maley & Sons Incorporated in the amount of $648,387.50 for the 2023 roadway and storm sewer improvements in accordance with the Borough Engineers correspondence dated May 31st, 2023, and the Borough Manager's correspondence dated June 1, 2023.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a question since we're on that.
Sure.
Ms. Miller, I'm assuming we have a list of when each street was done, like the last year each street was done in the borough?
Yeah,
Is that something you can get to us?
yes,
To me
I
or
can.
to us or whatever?
Yes, I can. And just.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, and just on that note.
We have that list where they have, for the last 20 years, there's a list of all, like, the streets and,
Well, I'm sure we have it.
Yeah.
Is it in electronic form?
yeah.
I can look, and whatever it is, we can make sure that it gets into a form that we can.
I mean, I'm sure it's something that's in the engineer's office.
Right. So, just for everybody's, just maybe for the audience, both Fleet Street and Arla were both bid. Arla alone came in at over $320,000, yeah, and Fleet Street was close to $80,000. So those streets will be pushed forward into 2024. And what we're trying to do right now, knowing that the PA American Water Company has a water line replacement program scheduled for 2023, we've already reached out to them. So the borough ordinance, once they dig up a road, it requires the curb-to-curb repaving in the area that they've done it. Since they're going to be going through so much of that street, what we'd like to do is to work with them on the front end before they even get started and say, rather than you do this curb to curb patching here, here, and here, we would just like to set up some type of a reimbursement schedule with them so that it can help offset that $320-some thousand for next year. And we did the same thing with Columbia Gas for all the work that they had done on School Street, Clifford, Victoria Circle. So a lot of those streets were done last year, and we ended up getting, close to $90,000 back from the gas company to help us pay for those roads. So it's disappointing we couldn't do Arla this year, but as you can see, that's a pretty big chunk of change. So hopefully, we can get this coordinated with the water company on the front end and get a little bit of money back into the borough coffers.
So that's happening on Fleet Street too?
Well, no, Fleet Street, no work by the utilities over there, but just Arla.
Why are we pushing that one?
Because it was we have a lot of curb issues over there.
Oh, you
And it
gotta
was
do
a
the curbs
small
first.
street. Well, there's just a lot of areas where it's in pretty bad disrepair. And it's a pretty short street, so sometimes those are good ones to tack on to, like this one and others. We didn't have like these, the parking lots to do. We might have done that this year, but we do need to take care of the parking lots because they're in pretty bad shape as well.
I don't know if you answered my question.
Why are we doing?
So Fleet Street needs repaired from Colosimo or something prior to?
Oh, no. No, Fleet Street's just in bad condition. It's been on the list to be done.
So we're moving Fleet Street up and pushing Arla back.
No,
Yeah.
she said she's pushing both back.
Both will be looked at for 2024 for road program.
Okay.
Well, that's what I can't figure out. If it's that bad, why are we pushing it?
Yeah.
Arla,
We want to go
you-
over budget. Right now, we're coming in just under budget, and my experience with road programs is frequently change orders. Just trying to give us a little, certainly if council would be of the mind to
Okay, so you're not
spend
pushing-
more than budgeted.
You're not pushing the allocated funds, you're just pushing the road into the 2024 program.
Correct. We would, that would be part of the 2024 road program instead. We'll
Just
just
clarify.
defer the maintenance, that's all.
And did you say that the gas company reimbursed us for
Part of
repave?
School and Clifford, yeah.
Because they did work and then we repaved it?
So we basically coordinated with them. So rather than having them do that repaving here, repaving there, right? Because they don't do the whole
Okay.
street, they do sections of it. So we worked out a linear calculation with them and have them reimburse us.
Was that based on what we were paying the
Yes,
contractor? Okay.
Yeah, and it works out well, it worked out for them because they didn't have to then oversee that road paving program.
Yeah.
They just basically give us the money that they're gonna spend anyway,
Yeah.
and we do all the work, so. It worked out well, and I think if we do like we're doing this year, to have the conversation well in advance, they really appreciate that, so.
That has happened in the future, or in the past, excuse me, with like the water company. That's happened in a number of cases. Like my street, the water company tore half of it up, and we made a deal to do the whole thing. So
Cool.
if you could hold on to them, that works. Okay, you are up.
All right. Lost track of where we were at, Mr.
Sorry,
President. My
number,
apologies.
that's okay, number 4.
Yeah, we're on number 4. I didn't know if we took the bid or not, or took the
We did, yeah.
vote or not.
Yes.
I move that we award a contract to Casper Colosimo and Son Incorporated for the 2023-2024 roads and sewer maintenance contract in accordance with the Borough Engineers correspondence dated June 2nd, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
This next ordinance, Mr. President, fellow council members, if you remember last year, we passed an ordinance that implemented a lateral video inspection. There were some instances that have occurred that has brought to light a need to make some changes within that. That would be the borough implementing a minimum of $15,000 bond, not bond. 15 escrow, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Escrow so the sale process can be put through at the time of sale if there is an issue with the sewer line. So with that, I would like to amend Chapter 260 Sewers, ordinance number 1885. I move that we pass ordinance 1885, amending Chapter 260 of the Borough Code of Ordinances to update standards for when a private sewer lateral line repair can be deferred until after a property transfer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can elaborate on
Yeah,
this
please.
a little bit. So I actually had a resident who was selling his home, ran into this challenge where he had to make the repairs, and I don't think, when we originally passed this ordinance, we didn't anticipate putting any burden on anybody. I know Mr. Ray had mentioned some things. He had concerns when we were passing this, but I don't think it was the point that it got to, which was, when you have large repairs of $10,000 to $15,000, depending on where and what section of your sewer line has to be repaired, some folks just don't have that kind of money laying around. The way the ordinance read, they couldn't close and get the proceeds from the house until after they put that money out first, and the repair had to be done before it would pass, so the closing would go through. And so I contacted Ms. Miller and brought these concerns, and I said, I don't think that was the original intent of our ordinance. We were protecting the new homeowner as they moved into the community, but we didn't really take into consideration. I thought that the existing homeowner could take the money to pay for the repairs if they didn't have it out of the closing costs, as out of their proceeds of their during escrow. And so when that came up, it obviously created another problem that we don't want to have happen, because a lot of people just don't have $13,000 to $15,000 laying around. So that's when I contacted Ms. Miller, and she got Ms. Dearson involved, and we worked on getting it rectified in a better way. And then we also decided that there should be a minimum of a $15,000 hold, right? That's where we ended, right? Or
Yes.
you were going to say something, Judy?
Oh, well, it would be 15,000 or whatever the actual bid would be. So it would be the higher of the two. So if the bid came in at, so I guess it would be a minimum, but if the
You
bid
said
was
it's
for
not-
18,000, then they gotta put 18,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that, yeah. So the additional concern was somebody could go find their favorite plumber and get it on a low number, and, with this change, and then have their closing and leave, and then the plumber either decides that they find something else, they can't complete the repair for that cost, and that homeowner is gone. And so we wanted to have a minimum, and then, if it comes in under the minimum, then we would return the funds that were held in escrow during the closing process,
Where are the funds coming from that then go into escrow?
the sale of the home. So they hold it back, and they send it to us.
So then when's the work completed?
Within 60 days.
This is allowing the work to be done after the sale of the home.
Right.
Within 60 days of the closing of the home.
So they have the cash.
And who selects the contractor?
The buyer can select the contractor.
I thought it was the seller.
So in order to just establish a price, so the homeowner owns the home, they're the ones that contracted with the plumber that provided the video, that provided evidence that the sanitary lateral is not in compliance. So the homeowner goes and gets a plumber to, how much is it gonna cost to fix this, either excavate or line it. A lot of times they can be, fixed by lining. So my concern was, as Reno had mentioned, was that in order to maximize the money they get at closing, they could get a real lowball plumber estimate, right? Plumber Joe will do it for $4,000, and everybody's like, well, that's a great deal. And then when the buyer actually goes to get it done, Plumber Joe is gone, and it now costs $15,000. So that's why we set this minimum of $15,000 to be deposited. If they can get it done for $5,000, they can get it done for $5,000.
What happens if there's not a net positive proceed from the sale of the house?
Well, they're still on the hook for it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, so, but that's all part of, at some point, that's part of the closing process. So when you are closing on a home,
Right.
it can't go through unless, because they're not gonna get a no lien letter from us because of this. So there's gonna be
Okay.
this process where that's a debt.
Kate, you got it?
essentially.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that also when there's an application that needs to be made to the borough to allow for this to go forward, and it's submitted by buyer and seller, so everybody is aware of,
Yeah, that was included
What's
in the
happening.
the document that they both
yeah, so
have.
everybody's signing off and buyer's aware that this work needs to be done within 60 days.
Because the buyer's ultimately responsible after they come to an agreement on how much it's going to cost.
The seller.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. they're
Not the
both-
buyer.
Yeah, the buyers ultimately, once they close on the house, if it comes, and if the bid's 18,000, it costs 20, the buyer has to pay the extra 2,000. So the buyer really is going to be concerned about who the plumber is. He's going to be concerned about how much the bid is. So he's going to have a lot of input because he's on the hook. If there's $15,000 and it's more than 15, the buyer's responsible. If the plumber said it was 18 and you have to escrow 18, it costs 20, the buyer's responsible. So the buyer is really going to have a lot of input into this and make sure that there's enough money escrowed to cover the cost.
Yeah, I think it's a good addition, a good amendment to the ordinance, because, I mean, if you've ever bought a home, you know, when you get that far, you want that home. You want it. And the way it was before, it would fail, because the owner couldn't sell the home. So this really gives an opportunity for both the buyer and the seller to work together to make sure that the transaction happens. which I think is-
Coincidentally, we had another resident who unfortunately closed in December prior to the ordinance going into play in January, and found that the sewer line has failed and they're out about 15K, which is what we really were trying to avoid. You know, you have a new young family moving into the community. They just spent quite a bit purchasing a home here, and now they're saddled with another 15, and I'm sure they don't have that laying around either, so. But that was the whole premise of it. That's how we got to this point.
But that should have come up through an inspection.
No, because it was before this.
Yeah.
No, just a regular home inspection.
Not if,
No.
not if the dye goes through,
Yeah, if the buyer didn't request. a
there's no
video
camera,
inspection.
right? You'd have to request a video, right?
And it wasn't required.
Yeah, sanitary lines wouldn't show up in a dye test.
And at the end of the day, this ordinance was ultimately part of our consent order.
Yep.
Why we went through and did this way, and I think at the end of the day, this is the best protection both for the buyer and the seller at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? We do have a motion and a second, right?
Yes.
Correct? Yes. Okay. Therefore, I'd like to have a roll call vote. Kim?
Mr. Romanovich?
Yes.
Mr. Troisi?
Yes.
Ms. Barron?
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes.
Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
I abstain.
Mr. Tentori?
Yes. Okay, the ordinance and the motion passes.
Moving along here, I move that we award a contract to traffic control equipment and supplies for the ADA upgrades to the pedestrian traffic control devices at Green Tree Road and Carnahan Road in an amount of $15,925 in accordance with the borough's correspondence dated January 2nd, 2023.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
And these upgrades are because ADA requires handicapped people to be able to activate them in certain ways, and we have to comply with that.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we will move on to planning and zoning. Mr. Ray.
Yeah, two items on the agenda. First one is, 137 Poplar is up for demolition. We received just one vote, or I'm sorry, just one bid. And based on the borough engineer's recommendation, we are going to reject that bid since we only had one bid. So I move that we reject the bid submitted by ORM Contracting Corporation in the amount of $77,100 for the complete demolition of off-site disposal of the structure located at 137 Poplar in accordance with the borough engineer's correspondence dated May 24th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And that's with the intent to rebid.
Intent to rebid, yes.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
Next up is amending Chapter 282, which is our trash can and trash maintenance ordinance. This was taken under consideration by the Planning Commission. Two main concerns here. One is updating the pickup time when you have to return the trash cans to their proper location, and then it needs to be done by midnight on the day of trash pickup. The other one is that both from an aesthetic perspective and also from the perspective of ensuring that animals and rodents and such don't get into garbage, Planning Commission is recommending that trash cans are not kept in front of a house, and also that all rubbish containers have to be, which is part of the old ordinance, but stored in a tight container. And if a container is not available, that the trash has to be stored in the garage or inside. So I move that we pass ordinance number 1886, amending Chapter 282, Article 1, 282-2, and Article 2, 282-4 of the Borough Code of Ordinances, amending the garbage containers' time for placement and requirements for storage.
Second.
I have a question.
I have some questions too.
I really liked the change in time. I think that's really helpful for
Yeah.
families. But what is the consequence when this isn't upheld by households? It was unclear to me, and I tried to dig through our previous ordinance, and I couldn't find an answer.
So just like any ordinance that isn't followed, our code enforcement officer will visit the offending property, have a conversation with them, see if there's a resolution. If a resolution is not followed, then there's a citation.
Thanks.
Where was the origin of this? Where did this come from that, I mean, I don't understand I think we have an ordinance that is there right now that could be enforced, and to create a new ordinance, I don't know where did this generate from. I've never heard anything from anyone about issues about putting the cans. I also have a real issue about locations in this borough. If you walk around, I know I walk around my streets, there's really no other place to put, if they're neatly put in the front of the house, in the driveway, it doesn't seem to be any problem. If there is a problem, I think before we have an ordinance, it would make sense for us to try to enforce where it may be a problem. But I think it's really premature to come up with an ordinance to fix something that doesn't maybe not need fixed. That's my thought.
The ordinance does say that it has to be in the driveway, even if it's in the front or the side. Like, I have a side house, so it'd have to be stored in the driveway.
Yeah, if there are no other options, right? And it
So
explicitly states in the ordinance that, that the borough manager has the authority to make certain special exceptions to it.
The only question I have is, and I did raise this in the committee as well when we were passing this around, is I'm fine with not to be stored in front of the house, except for in the driveway area. I think that takes care of at least some of our topography issues, but I really don't see a basis to prevent storage of the trash cans on the side of a house if they're not in the driveway area. You know, I know just walking around, that some people do store them that way. Some of them have a little fence that prevents you from seeing them. You know, that, at least under this ordinance, doesn't seem to matter. You know, I just don't think that the side exterior should be part of the ordinance. 'Cause I don't think it's really an issue.
Don't we have, I know we have some homes that are rear pickup, but what about, some of them may have their trash on the side as well?
Well, it basically,
I know we have ones that we pick up that aren't at the curb, I guess I should clarify.
that's kind of really what they call it, backyard pickup, but it's really in a location where the resident is unable to get it to the curb, so it stays at the house.
Right. And that doesn't affect this?
We call it backyard, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always in the backyard. It just means that it's not at the curb.
Right. So some of those homes might be affected by this.
Yes. But, you know, with the manager being able to grant an exception, I think that that would automatically follow suit if they've already got a backyard, you know, collection established, then I think that would go automatically with those properties. But then I guess maybe my only concern would be, what is the criteria? I mean, if somebody just called and said, I have a bad back, I can't go up and down the stairs, or like, I'm not sure what the criteria is gonna be and what documentation I would need to, because you know, if I give somebody an exception, and because they said that they're physically incapable of, you know, taking the garbage down to the garage all the time, then I do it, I give it, and then it's Craig's neighbor, and Craig calls me and says, that guy is not disabled at all. I see him washing and waxing his car. He's not disabled. So I guess maybe a little bit, since something's coming back to me, maybe we need to establish some kind of a threshold as to what would rise to the level of them being able to, maybe tying it to the backyard. You know, typically we require like a physician's excuse or something to say that they're physically incapable of getting it to where we require it to be. So, you know, I think some older people maybe that have some stair limitations, maybe they store it outside their kitchen door, which might be on the side of the house, I don't know. I think one of the things that is really critical, and you know, I think something we need to promote through the website is that, you know, if you do store your garbage outside, it does need to be in a can. It does need to have a tight fitting lid.
Yeah.
And you cannot have your garbage cans overflowing. That is not acceptable. And even if it's recycling, it's not acceptable. Everything needs to be within the container. And you know, I know now I'm maybe getting a little bit off subject, but at least getting the word out that, you know, now that we are accepting glass in recycling collections, the staff is working to try to see if we can secure some additional recycling containers. So if residents would like to purchase a second one, they can do so. They wouldn't have to purchase it from us. They could purchase it, you know, from the hardware store, provided it's meets the guidelines set forth by Waste Management. But I do think that, and I have had, you know, a complaint in the past where the neighbors set the garbage bags outside, and I think we all know that, especially in the summertime, that can be problematic from road, you know.
Crows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the
raccoons.
crows get into it, the raccoons get into it, so, I mean, I think that's really critical that we all start, you know, taking that responsibility to making sure things are kept clean and tidy and not having this overflowing cans and whatnot. And I think that's part of, you know, David might have initiated this.
Is that in that ordinance, is that in this new ordinance that we do something special?
Our existing ordinance
That's what I thought.
requires.
We already have an existing ordinance.
Yeah, I think, you know, whether, maybe a lot of people are storing their garbage in their home, but I can tell you when I drive through town on a Wednesday, there's a lot of bagged garbage out, a lot.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, and I was getting to that. Is that a problem?
It can't, as long as they're storing it inside their home, it's not a problem, but they can't have it sitting outside their home, like on their side porch or on their front porch.
I thought you meant like when it's time to put the trash out.
No,
No,
it's
during the
not.
week.
Right.
So I'm just assuming, I mean, that's a lot of people keep garbage inside the home.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So,
Put that out there.
yeah, so my challenge is always with the garbage or recycling at this point was putting it out too early and not putting it away soon enough, right? I got questions like Art, I just don't know what brought this on. Why did we move the time up from 5 PM to 3 PM? So we're putting out the trash 2 hours earlier than we were before? That was something that was a problem?
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I have had, not a lot, maybe a call, maybe 2 calls, maybe 3 if I go back to the beginning, where they leave for work, they work, maybe the 3 to 11 shift, or a 10-hour shift starting midday. And I know in particular, it was one of our female residents, and she said she just wasn't comfortable putting it out late at night, especially in the winter because it's dark and if the weather conditions are bad, she wanted to get it out and get it taken care of before she left for work. So I gave her permission to do that,
Okay, well,
so,
that,
that type of thing. So I think the
I mean,
3 o'clock
listen,
helps a little.
everyone's got a call if they want to park in the street, everybody needs permission. I think people should contact the office, or we put some type of request on. I don't think we should change the ordinance so that everyone starts putting the garbage, because that's exactly what's going to happen, is people are going to start putting it out 2 hours sooner, and to me, that's a problem, because we can't anticipate storms, critters. We're putting it out for more hours than we were putting it before. This does not make any sense to me. So I don't know where that came from. If people need certain exceptions,
Well, it's already out. It's already out. It's in a closed container outside.
well, I
Just
don't,
putting it from
I
one
don't see-
location to the curb.
I don't see that. I don't see my neighbors collecting their trash in the front of the homes, not where I live.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it may happen somewhere else, but I don't see it. What's that? Well, I don't live down your way, Clarice. I said near me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure, it's part of the planning commission.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Bob, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The
sure
reason
you
why
will.
this came up is apparently we were told, the planning commission was told that there were several complaints in the borough.
Who were the complaints from? Because we've never heard any.
Art, I don't know the names,
Oh,
and even if I
I'd
did.
like to know how
I-
many
you
and
know.
who, that's all.
So.
How did it get there without us knowing about it?
I
That's all.
heard it came in through the office, so I don't know the
Okay.
names weren't given.
That's all we asked.
So we were asked by Councilmember Ray to investigate this and see what we could do. So what the Planning Commission did is we looked at the surrounding boroughs, Scott Township, Upper St. Clair, Peters Township, and they have it where it's from 3 to 11. So we decided, let's just make it 3 to 11. I get that, I don't put my trash out till almost 7 o'clock at night. But again, I walk my dog at night, in the morning, during the day, and trash is out. And a lot of the trash on Park Edge and even over in these other areas, they're not even in trash cans. So I don't know if our code enforcement officer drives around and says, hey, I don't know that. But that's really where it stemmed. I looked at the ordinance in the book. I didn't think anything was wrong with it, but somebody wanted us to tweak it, so we tweaked it. You guys don't approve it, that's okay.
Well, that's like,
If I may say, Christine,
should've known about it.
they are permitted to put it out.
did
just
mention
that.
I've been mentioning it for
They
the
don't
past
have
3
to, it
months.
doesn't
I
have to
never
be.
heard
I have mentioned
Then you
it.
haven't been paying
Just so you
attention.
know.
I've been
I
here.
know, but I gotta
Must
tell
be
you,
not paying
it's
attention.
a
No,
disaster.
nobody,
I mean,
that was your own personal thing, that's
Yeah.
why.
Read the minutes.
it's
And
a
I
disaster.
think, that's where, why a lot of communities have gone to automated trash collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does eliminate that problem, because when you do that, nothing outside of the can gets collected.
Yeah.
So if you have too much garbage, you have to wait till the next week to get rid of the rest of it. And if you consistently have too much garbage, then you have to buy a second can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
but that-
understand this one group,
that the
this one
challenge?
house on Park Edge. They have 4 large cans in their driveway, but I mean, it's tucked back.
Right.
And that was another thing. I mean, Park Edge, and Reno, you know this, we're all in the front. We have nowhere to put it. So, I
Right.
mean, mine are tucked, you know, in the back, not in the back, but it's in the front, but it's tucked away. I don't understand. They put all their garbage out on the street, not even in the can, but they have cans in the driveway. But that's
But
where
you're
that
talking
came
about, are you talking about the day that the trash gets picked up?
No,
Or the night before, I
the night
mean?
before,
Yeah,
the
but
night before.
what,
And
we're talking
why,
about two different things. We're talking about, right, the ordinance is talking about
Versus
collecting trash throughout the
Yeah.
course of the week, not in the front of the house.
Correct.
Now we're talking about when it's time to put the trash out, it does not have to be in a container.
That's not.
That's two
Yeah,
different things.
right now,
Correct.
that's not.
Right.
That's not what
So
this
what
ordinance says.
Yeah, it does.
we want it all in cans.
But that's not what.
But that's not what this
And if
does.
not, it'll be
No,
in the
it
house.
That's
And I-
it.
It absolutely
Go
says
back
that it has to be in a can.
because-
No,
If
In-
it's stored outside.
if it's stored outside,
Yes,
So
but
it's
not
like-
for clash,
It doesn't
correct.
not for the
So
morning,
if it's not in a, it's not in a
not when
can,
it goes to the curb.
If
Yeah.
it goes to the curb in the morning, that's fine, the day of the trash, but not the night before, I
Yeah, You're
guess.
allowed to put it out.
Yeah, but that,
They're allowed to put
yeah,
it out the night
That's-
before without it in
yeah,
the garbage can.
And the
Right.
crows.
Yeah.
always
That's what
get
the way,
ord-
that's what
the new ordinance
states
says, too.
now.
Because I know with the new ordinance, and again, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, I know there's a lot of houses that have front driveways.
Yeah, I mean, I live on a side house, like, I don't have, like,
Neither,
it's
you know.
going to have to be in the driveway,
Right.
but we keep it in cans, right? It would
Right.
live, but, yeah, like,
Right.
we have it's just we live in Pittsburgh, like, there's hills and strange things.
I mean,
But yeah,
there's-
this doesn't make it, if you can keep it in your house during the week, but it's, when you take it out, it's still allowing you to put it out in
So
bags.
I do agree that it does need to come back and have us take a look at it again, because I think it was misinterpreted. Because, again, you know, there's houses that don't have a side or a backyard to put their trash cans.
Right.
It's in front of their
Yeah.
garage or off to the side or behind a car. So I do think that has to go back.
Okay,
Dave.
I make a motion to table this so that we can send it back to planning commission
Second.
for further review.
Okay, we have a motion to table, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very
So,
much.
question though, so I appreciate it going back, but now what are we gonna focus on? I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what the actual challenge is. Because you were a little confused just a second ago about the bags, right? So we had complaints, I don't know if anybody even said what they were yet, so we have multiple challenges here.
Yeah.
But we have challenges now before we even do this, right? Like I said, trash goes out too early, trash cans don't get put away in the sufficient amount of time. I see we're addressing some of that, at least the putting away part, and then we bumped 2 hours up to put it out sooner. And, you know, if that's what everybody wants, it's fine. But the actual container is a challenge, like people are putting trash in front of their homes that aren't in approved containers throughout the course of the week.
It's the trash overflowing out of containers.
Okay?
It's the crows and the raccoons getting into it. It's keeping.
Because I don't
that in
keep
front
my
of the
trash
house.
outside.
But you still should be able to put
It's
it,
keeping
if
that-
you have no other place but the front of your house, you have no other place. But you have to
So-
keep it in a can to make sure.
Right.
Yeah,
should
that
enforce
does,
it.
that does say
Part of
that.
what-
That's what I'm saying. But we should be enforcing that first.
Overflowing garbage is not permitted according to our current.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's there.
does our current ordinance address anything about the can? It has to be.
At the curb? No.
No, not the curb. The can in front of the house, like it has to be in a can. So that's not
It
even.
has to
in
be
the
a can, it doesn't address location.
Okay, but now they're saying that location could be a problem for some of our residents.
Well, that's
We can't-
addressing
we can't
the
rub-
proposed ordinance by having special exceptions
Okay.
authorized by the borough
What if,
manager.
okay.
And
But
the
then
only
that
That might be a
thing-
lot of exceptions,
The only
Dan.
thing I would ask, and since we have planning commission members here, is maybe, you know, I just would like to have, you know, defined to some extent what the exceptions are. Again, because it could go all over the ballpark.
Right.
Yeah.
From just the topography of the property, a big strapping, strong person, I can get it up and down to the, you know, take it down to the driveway every day, but I just don't want to.
But if
It's
somebody
not
has their
convenient.
trash in the proper container, not overflowing, in front of their home, is this a problem?
In the,
In a can? No, I don't think
Not
it is.
now, it is not in the current ordinance. It can be stored anywhere
But the
according
new
to our
ordinance,
current ordinance.
the new ordinance saying you can't store it.
The
Correct.
new one
Right,
say-
that's why I'm
can't-
asking, why is this
are
an
we-
issue?
Yeah, I don't understand either.
well, it's gonna get kicked back, so
Yeah.
let
Well, yeah,
let
yeah,
you
but I
all
don't-
figure
I
it
don't
out.
wanna- when it goes back, I want to make sure that they're concentrating
Yeah.
on the right thing, so I'm just asking questions. I don't,
Is it, or what we talking about actually two ordinances? One for storage and one for taking it out? I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
Do
just,
that.
Well, there's two
All right.
sections.
yeah,
Well-
there's two
One
sections.
deals with,
should I assume your committee was involved in this?
No, my committee is not at all.
So it's just,
Part of the,
Planning and zoning.
yeah, it's planning and zoning.
Were they, did they?
no,
planning and
not
zoning
not the
approve
committee
all
you
this?
chair, I'm talking about planning and zoning committee.
Yeah, did they approve all this?
Yeah,
They
they
approved
did
it.
it.
No,
No,
not the
planning and zoning, not
commission.
the-
Ron and Jim?
Yeah.
Yes.
They were
I mean, with
involved.
the
Thank you.
exception of
They,
where to
they,
put it on the side yard, I had a problem with that, but the rest of it, I mean,
So it wasn't addressed, your issue?
he just brought it to my attention now.
Oh, he
well, I
said
sent
he,
you the
he
email
said he brought it to
You, did you,
when you sent
He
me
sent
the
it.
newest version.
Did we-
He
did we get it?
did send it over by email.
Well, the point is, if we're
I
gonna
thought we were
relook
gonna
at it,
incorporate his change into the ordinance.
The only thing I had an issue with was 282.4, the new version, where it says, "All garbage, rubbish, and recycling may not be stored on the front," and it says, "or side exterior of the house, except in the driveway area." And I know there's people who keep their trash in cans on the side of their house, it's not in the driveway area, and I don't think technically we should have a problem with that, because it's in a
Okay.
can on the side of the house.
I'm fine with that.
And then it carves out the exception to, cover topography, like where, Marina's side of Park Edge, the side of Sheldon across the street from me, where the only way to really do it is your garage is right there, your driveway's right there at the street, so, and it carves out the exception to keep your can on the outside of your house in the driveway area, which is fine, because that will cover the front of the house. So, I don't have a problem with that. The only thing I said, like, you store it on the side of your house, not in the driveway area, in a can, I don't think we should have
Yeah, I
a
think-
problem with that
Right.
in the regulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the point being here is whenever there's some changes, I think all councils should be able to look at it and before we act on it, make sure the council, they.
Planning commission saw it,
commission,
the
and
committee
make sure
saw
that
it, you
there's-
saw it before.
No,
in the
make sure
agenda.
everybody at council has a say in it because we didn't know.
How are we gonna do that, Art?
I don't need
We look
that.
at it, we view it.
Yeah, Art.
Come on.
That's gonna slow things
Okay, I'm
down.
sorry,
That's-
but you just got done telling me you had some issues. We just
I
need
have
to make-
issues,
That's why we have
that's
meetings.
why we're talking
Well,
about
that's
this.
what I'm saying. We should see it before you put it out, that's all.
You did, you saw it
did.
in the
That's
packet.
why-
No, I'm
just tabled
saying
it.
when you revise it.
Well, you can't do that.
Okay.
That's probably a Sunshine Act violation. They handle it in committee, then they kick it to Judy, and it goes
Yeah.
on the agenda, and then we have this discussion. That's what it's all about.
That's what
all
I'm
good.
actually saying, but never mind, that's fine.
So I have a question for the solicitor. What is the threshold of information that the borough can ask for these accommodations? I'm
Yeah.
expressing that question because of HIPAA laws and what have you, because I would have pause for concern for the borough asking someone for something from their home.
Agreed.
That they can't carry their cans from.
Right, so I think that when you have, but if we're changing, but if that requirements, I mean,
I'm trying
hypothetically.
to, I want that
I want-
information out, so when this goes back to the commission, they know what, Judy had asked for a list of what would be possible exemptions. And
Right.
of course, medicals is one of those. And I got a bad hip, I got a bad back, so on and so forth. I'm just trying to make sure it's all out there, so we're not, putting information in the
Right,
new
so I don't
ordinance
think you
coming out.
want to put Judy in the place where she's reviewing
Right,
someone's
exactly.
doctor's note. I think that you
Right.
could approach it a couple different ways if you wanted to include a medical exception, which is someone who already qualifies for, like, the backyard pickup, someone who, maybe has, a qualification as far as, a disability parking spot, so we can do built-ins. I don't think we want to have Judy looking
And
at.
that's why I was asking,
medical
so
records.
there wasn't something built into this to where the borough had to become intrusive and possibly
Right.
have some implications moving forward.
Sure, and I
Appreciate
just,
the clarification.
yeah, and you just want to be mindful of how many exceptions Judy's going to have to handle, right? The administrative burden that's created by her.
Yeah, and I think ultimately we believe the best in people, right? Like there's always loopholes to everything, but I do believe the best in people, that they're not going to be calling up asking for, weeks-long, year-long extensions for things that don't exist. I believe that personally.
That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Move on to public safety. Mr. Lindsay?
Public safety, thank you. I move that we authorize the borough manager to forward to Governor Shapiro's office a recommendation to appoint David Mons as the emergency management coordinator for Green Tree Borough.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, a lot. So, this is, just so we're clear, this doesn't solve the problem that's been on the table for 7 months. This is putting the cart before the horse. I talked about this with Ms. Miller, Mr. Tintori. I'm just clear. We're not arguing about this. I'm just saying I'm just clarifying what we're doing here. We were going through the process. I discussed this with our previous emergency management coordinator probably 2 years ago, which is why we started going down the path of doing the emergency management plan, because it's easy to appoint the coordinator, but the work is where the rewriting and updating the plan is. So we were trying to do it in that order before we appointed an emergency management coordinator, which didn't have to be the same person that was working on the plan, just as a historical note. So this doesn't change what we've got on the table still for 7 months. However, I did speak with Mr. Mons about this, and he's going to have to put together some type of time frame, very similar to what the proposal we got from Mr. Eborn. He's got to get his arms around it and figure out what needs to be done, but I told him if we're going to move forward with this, we need to get some type of time frame and plan and outline of when and how we're getting the other stuff done. So, just to be clear.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second.
And I would have left Mr. Mons in play, and we would have never gone down the rest of that path, but the discussions I had with him 2 years ago was that he was not going to continue as the coordinator, and apparently there was a disagreement, or a miscommunication. So,
Okay.
that's all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next
Now-
up, I'm sorry.
Now, Cena, why are you trying to end my report all the time?
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, that's because we're on the business portion.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right.
My bad. Go
That's
ahead.
all I was, that's
like,
no
what?
problem. Okay. Next up, the mayor's report.
Okay. I'd like to congratulate Kevin Diamond. He's one of our younger police officers. He got married in Uniontown this past weekend, so best of luck to him in his new endeavor, marriage. After the last meeting, I met with U.S. Congressman, a couple mayors did. He invited us for breakfast over in Munhall, so it was good to meet with him, got some contact information for his staff, his local staff, and his Washington DC staff, and I passed it on to Ms. Miller and to council people. So they said that we can contact them anything, ask about grants, ask those kind of questions. So it was a good meeting. It's basically to get contact information. The Garden Club had their spring festival. It went off well. They had a flea market, craft and vendor show, and sale of annuals and perennials, and it was in May. That went well. The civil service rules and regulations, they're being updated. So hopefully they'll be updated soon, and we'll get a recommendation from the Civil Service Commission in regard to updated civil service rules. We have a new police car. It's sitting at Wilson Wind Ford. We're going to proceed to outfit that police car and put it in service. In regard to the police, they've been visiting the schools, the Guardian Angel Academy, also Aiken School. They're getting a feel for the facility inside. God forbid anything happens, but they're just getting a feel for what's inside, and they're going over the drills, what the schools have enacted, what drills, so they're aware of what drills the schools have enacted in case there is a situation at one of the schools. And then I have a couple of things to talk with Lieutenant Rannigan, just real briefly to show I was paying attention. Going to talk to him about summer rec, having police presence during pickup and drop-off. Going to talk to him about farmers market, having traffic control. Going to talk to him about dogs in the park, and also going to talk to him about speeding on Glencoe, especially between Norris and Whiskey Hollow. So I'll either call him, depending upon what time we get out of here tonight, he's on, or tomorrow I'll give him a call and discuss those subjects, see what police availability we have. End of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, we'll move on to reports of committees, finance, and general policy. Mr. Trosi.
I have no new report tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to infrastructure. Mr. Romanovich.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be short and sweet. The borough staff is still continuing to work with county officials to finalize the transfer of the C-24-25 structure and the C-30 structure. The remaining work is to be completed by outside agencies. And as many of you know, we had the fiber optic lines going in. There were some damages to sewer lines, some other issues created from that. The majority of that has been identified. All the agencies, both public and private, have been notified of that and involved. And PennDOT has been notified of the borough's intent to recover all associated expenses with the investigation and repairs of those pieces of property. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Romanovich. Move on to planning and zoning. Mr. Ray.
So the Planning and Zoning Committee, they have 19, make it 20 open projects since the trash ordinance is back on their table. One of them is pending restaurant to go in at 7-Eleven. There is not one currently pending for the former Boston Market. So there might be some rumors out there, but
Well, I from two sources, I got confirmation, but I know that's only good enough for a newspaper, but I mean, boy, it's pretty, I mean, I don't have the documents in front of me, but I mean, the sources were pretty good.
okay.
Which I did want to bring up, if this new restaurant does come in, is there any, okay, let me start by saying, over the last year or so, number of residents have mentioned, boy, would it be nice to have outdoor seating somewhere along Green Tree Road. And I've heard this, several times, and we talked about this with the Planning Commission, future plans. How nice would it be, for us to, Green Tree residents who are walking, stop, have like an ice cream cone or some seating available to sit along Green Tree Road. Well, the rumored new restaurant that is coming in, they usually have outdoor seating, but when they would apply to the Planning Commission, is there any way the Planning Commission can request, like say, hey, we know you guys have done outdoor seating before, and if they don't have that in their plans, are we allowed to request that from them or ask them?
You can ask them, Ron. They don't have to do it.
No, I know, but I'm saying.
We do have one restaurant, at least one restaurant that has outdoor seating on Green Tree Road.
I think that, and my past experience has been, that if they're coming in with a plan to do the restaurant and you make a suggestion about something that might help them generate some additional business, they're certainly going to be open to it. Whether they're going to
Yeah.
accept it or not is
Yeah.
another thing, but at least in my experience during the time I was on it, we had some fairly positive results sometimes.
That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Public Facilities and Equipment, Ms. Barron.
Yeah, I have a few. So our library is hosting a summer reading kickoff on Saturday, June 17th from 2 to 4. And then that will be the kickoff for the Summer Reading Challenge, which will run from June 17th to August 12th. That is a yearly program that happens in the library. It is for everyone from birth to adult. And it will include lots of programs all summer, prizes, and then you can earn free books at the end to keep. The library also recently launched new experience kits. Experience kits offer free admission to a number of museums and historical sites around Pittsburgh. You check them out with your library card, and you get them for 1 week at a time. So a lot of fun activities that you can do for free this summer, including the Heinz History Center, Fort Pitt Museum in Meadowcroft, the Bradford House and the Whiskey Rebellion Center, Historical Fort Steuben, Fort Ligonier, Old Economy, and the Railroaders Museum and Horseshoe Curve. The library also has a new way to honor loved ones. You can purchase an engraved rock for placement in the garden. Information is available on the library's website. I did want to congratulate the Garden Club on their fantastic event in May. It was wonderful. Even though it was kind of cloudy and a little bit rainy, so many people came out. I know that it surpassed their expectation. My family went. We had a lovely time, purchased many things from different vendors. And then the key fob system that was mentioned a few meetings ago is officially installed, and there will be some training on that in the next coming weeks for borough staff. And then last but not least, a fence will be installed on the border of the municipal park. Our borough manager will give us updates along the way, but it'll be out here off of the driveway. It won't sit immediately against the parking lot. It'll be up a little bit, but that will, it'll look beautiful too, but Judy can tell us about that.
Sorry.
You recording me?
No, I was looking at the.
Without her consent?
I was like, this is a,
Pennsylvania,
I
though.
was like, where's the consent? Okay, but, all right, so that's it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Public Safety and Public Safety Equipment. Mr. Lindsay.
Okay, public safety, thank you. Mr. Panza, did your committee meet again about the emergency management plan?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes. Yes, we did. And we were talking about that possibly we may be handing this off to the new emergency manager
Shocker.
to help implement the plan. And he seems to be in agreement that he will now be helping us, so we'll see where that goes.
So, last month, and I needed some direction from the solicitor on how to add something to the agenda, because I think we should probably formally reject the proposal that we've been delaying for 7 months. If the new emergency management coordinator is going to take care of it. And you're confused?
So what was it tabled?
It was tabled
I think it was.
6, 7 months ago.
Definitely.
It's never been untabled.
To be untabled, to be rejected, I guess is the question.
Or do you want to just wait to officially do that next month and put it on the agenda? Because it really is not going anywhere at this point.
On the agenda, just so
Yeah,
people would know
we'll
that
do
it
it
would be a
next-
member
we'll do it next
of break it up.
So do we need a motion to table
No.
tabling?
No. No motion was made. I'm just inquiring. I figured it's kind of pointless to continue with that.
I got it
It's
next.
just going to kick it down the road another 7 months, but
I didn't know that on the agenda for reject,
for next month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess maybe we should have done that this month, but
I didn't want to be presumptuous.
Second thing, Mr. Tentori, I have to echo Mrs. Short's comments from earlier. As far as I'm concerned, you publicly slandered a over 40-year member of this fire company, talking about taxes, that if you would have done your homework, would have found that they're not in arrears. So I would like to see you make a public apology at this time.
I don't know what, I have no idea what when I
No,
said that was
it's in the-
anything.
it's in the minutes.
Any information is public information. I don't remember saying such a thing. but-
Well, you did.
Okay, well.
So I'm
I'll
giving
have
you
to
opportunity, okay, well, you did. I'm giving you the opportunity to unsay it.
Unsay what?
You implied that the gentleman that put in this proposal,
No, I think I implied that anybody that we ever do business with, you have to make.
and why would that have come up in that instance?
It's a,
We
because,
were going over a proposal from one person. Your comment was, we're not going to hire anybody without checking into whether they have liens, a tax lien. Those are your words. They're in the minutes. You can read them.
I'll have to read them.
Okay? We'll read them and make your apology.
Anything else?
You're not going to do that?
No, not at this point.
All right.
I don't know what I'll have to review it.
Well,
If
come
there was
prepared
any
next month
slander
then.
involved, I'll be happy to see it.
You know what you said.
Okay.
You said it in an executive session before we came out here, too. June 14th, the fire company and the American Legion will be having their annual Flag Day ceremonies. As usual, I believe they start at 7 o'clock. That's the end of my report.
Just real briefly in regard, I'll try to be in attendance at the Flag Day ceremony. I've been away in the past, but I did attend the Memorial Day ceremony that American Legion put on. I was a little bit disappointed. There were just a total of about 15 people there. But anyhow, that's an important day, but I did make that, and they have a very nice ceremony outside and one afterwards. But I'll mark down June 14th. Did you know what time did you say? Sorry.
I didn't invite you. It typically starts at 7 there, I believe.
7,
But
okay.
I will confirm that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. That's my only comment about June 14th and Memorial Day.
Okay, Mr. Lindsay, you're complete. Mr. Panza, Recreation.
Thank you. As everyone knows, the Farmers Market Committee has done a great job so far in really revamping and upscaling the farmers market. So I can see you're concerned about the traffic. I'm shocked to hear that they're not directing traffic. I thought that was always a constant, ever since the farmers market started. But I did want to highlight that in the next 30 days, some of the food trucks that will be appearing each time. On June the 8th, we have a Korean grill truck. On June 15th, we have a meatball truck. On June 22nd is a pizza truck. June 29th is a hibachi Japanese food truck. And the big one, of course, that was mentioned, July the 6th, will be the lobster truck, which has a huge, huge following. So, I hope everyone comes back to the farmers market. It's totally revamped. They did a great job, and there's so many more vendors now, and it's just a really wonderful thing. And we had an Oktoberfest committee meeting. Everything is on schedule, on track. When you have quality people working on it, it's easy and it's really coming along. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much. As far as the President's report, just a couple things. As was noted originally, we had a meeting this evening with Meyer Dussel, which was our auditor, and apparently we are going to be having a clean audit. They gave us some preliminary information. Everything looks pretty good. They will be sending a final report very soon. We don't expect any unfavorable comments. Just to address the Burger King real quick, there are the current franchisee who had that Burger King supposedly had 6 of them around the area, and they were all closed. So it wasn't necessarily a Green Tree thing. It was just that they eliminated whatever they couldn't do, couldn't get people, but whatever, all the Burger Kings were closed. There wasn't really us that was any different than the rest of them. So that was strictly a corporate decision. And the other thing is just to compliment Lieutenant Rannigan so far in his transition over to acting chief. He's been doing a really good job, a lot of good reports from him, so I wanted to compliment him on the work he's doing, and we appreciate it very much. That's my end of my report. Manager's report.
Just real quick, I just wanted to remind everybody that the summer recreation program registration is now open, and it begins on June the 19th and runs through July the 21st. So hopefully if you have any young children, I understand it's a hugely successful program and enjoyed by all. And then they also have several, I'll call them field trips, I think they call them summer excursions, and they have 3 different places that they're going this year. One is the Urban Air, another place is the Carnegie Science Center, and then the third one is the Splash Lagoon. So I think those are all really great opportunities to keep the kids active this summer. And as everybody knows, the pool opened on May the 27th, and you know, per usual, we have a couple technical difficulties with our aging pool system, but I give a lot of credit to the staff because they, you know, move mountains to make sure that the pool stays open. We get things done. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, at this time, I would like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you very much.
Second. Second. That was official. Second.
Shannon beat you.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
So I logged into it, I didn't see it.